So now we're in week 3. This is New Zealand JPY. He's got 2 of these. One was Thursday, one was Tuesday. Let's see. Manipulation in New York, London overlap, taking previous day low, 78 fib on entry. IPA to fill towards entry, equal lows above my entry, clean expansion up, 4-hour break up, tag the daily banker candle with being bullish on higher time frame, TP equal highs. We already talked about market biofeedback, and I also sent him some questions there to help him with this. So you should see that change in the next market biofeedback for August, because these aren't confirmations. These aren't confirmations that you're putting here. Nicely aligned, so it looks like he has that. Here it's a little bit different. Getting a little impatient, finding myself looking at this one occasionally. I am always aware to make sure I trade my plan and not with emotions. This was a loss. The bias was incorrect. It was a flag pattern. 6.36 risk to reward. Stop loss was hit. Flag pattern, and we can take a look now. Okay. Okay, one thing I see right off the bat here. We'll pull this up. We'll pull this up. Daily. And this was. Okay. Let's take a look at the before for the actual time frame traded. Why is this sending? Why is it sending these charts so small? Does anybody know? Why are these snapshots so small? I know TradingView, they keep changing things, and I know the snapshot thing is a little bit different now. Is it because he did an image? Copy chart image? Does anybody know? Or did he copy a link chart? Yeah, so like that's what I would recommend. He probably did a link to the image. What I would recommend putting in your trade journal is a link to the chart image. I think that one might be it. Yeah, I know the option wasn't available to this month. They keep changing stuff, man. Like they should have just left it. There's no need for doing any of this. They've been making a lot of changes lately. They just need to leave things alone. It's like trying to fix something that's not broken, you know what I mean? But I think that might be it. Just test it. When you put your link in the trade journal, see if it does something like this, or if you use the other one, if it'll actually give you the link to the chart for like the bigger one, because these snapshots are really small. Okay, so it was a 1 hour. And this was July 15th. 1 hour. I think I can see it. July 15th. Okay. Let me see something here. How did he lose that? Okay. His entry was 50% of the 1 hour. So he was somewhere in here. I'm not sure if he covered the wick or not. Let's see. Nope. So probably looking up here to this high up here. So he was looking right around there for 6 to 1. All right, so let's dig in. So there was a couple things I noticed on the higher time frame. So that was the setup there. Let me see what time and price looks like. Let me just run this real quick. Asian session down, London session down. Asian high. Okay. I was just checking out a few things really quickly here. Okay. I'm just gonna look at the higher time frame really quickly, just because this isn't a pair that I trade. But I saw something on the daily right away. What do you guys see here before I get into it? Because I want you to start training your eye. What do you see on it? What do you see looking at this here? And I'll do this. Prior to his entry was somewhere around there. I'll do the line chart here. What do you see? Breaker structure. Breaker structure. Yeah, that's the first thing that kind of, let me just put this back here. So we can see if we can keep that price action right there. Okay. So that price action right there. That's where he was right there. So there was two things that kind of just jumped out at me right here. The first thing that I looked at, the first one here is this price action here above this level here. What do you think is happening there before this? This whole level up here. Yeah, building liquidity, right? This is a giant liquidity pool, right? So think about this. And this kind of feeds back off of what I talked about on Tuesday. There's a couple of things you need to understand. When you see a huge, like there's all different types of liquidity, but when you see like really big liquidity pools like this on a higher time frame, you got to recognize that this is a huge intersection of orders that's accumulating in this area. Massive. So why does smart money need something like this? Because they have massive orders that they're trying to fill, right? That's why there's manipulation in these areas. This is also an area that, you know, this looks like we're entering in like that, you know, that thrill euphoria phase where price has just been trending. And then when you start to see stuff like this at the top, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Like if you see price just doing stuff like this here, where it's been climbing up for quite some time, right? And I can throw this on. Keep in mind, this is higher time frame, right? This is weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, right? Each one of these is a week. each in like little space here. Right? So we've been climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing, right? When you get up into an area where price has been climbing and you start to see this here, and understanding the interbank market and understanding that targets for smart money, not targets, not targets. And believe it or not, more buyers come here. More buyers actually, but like regardless with this resistance here, like think of it like Bitcoin, right? Let me pull up Bitcoin really quickly. I'll even do this. With Bitcoin climbing and on an absolute tear in 2021, right? Huge, huge, huge push up. Where do you think most of the buyers came in here from the retail crowd? Looking at this bullish structure, where do you think the majority of the buyers came in on this push up? At the top, absolutely. Because now over anything, any emotion, the fear of missing out is at its highest. And all you see is all of these news articles and the cryptocurrency websites, the Instagrams, the TikToks, all saying crypto, Bitcoin, the new currency, it's taking over, it's going to the moon, Bitcoin, 100K. And people have the, like right now, when you see something, it's like the absolute confirmation that, okay, this is bullish, this is climbing, it's on a tear, like it's coming up. And you got to understand when you're looking at that with New Zealand JPY, like that is like the euphoria phase. Like you get into, it's the roller coaster of emotions that traders go through. And you know, you get into like optimistic, you get into excited phases, you get into, you know, the thrill, and then euphoria where it's just like this thing is gone, going. And when you look at something like this and how much it's just been pushing up, the same thing applies here. Yeah, you're going to have retail traders that are looking at this like resistance, but this is so bullish. Like people, the majority of retail traders are probably just looking for this to continue. Regardless, when you see stuff like this at the very top here, right? Smart money is on the other side of these orders, whether it's buying or selling, they're on the other side. And when you get to the top here, this is where they start accumulating short positions. And they start bringing in areas like this that they can attack, absorb all incoming orders in this liquidity pool. And that is an area where they can fill their huge volume, hundreds of millions of dollars, reprice and push price up above this level, giving them a better price before pushing down, right? So this is like an onboarding area. Where would they exit their positions? Where would they exit their positions? If you're looking at something like this, where would they exit positions here? Yeah, swing lows, right? Like, so I would look at, you know, obviously, you know, you got this big one here, right? Which is also this, right? Keep in mind also what this is. I'll just do it from this area here, but right, you get your trend line, all of these lows here. Right, and then this area here. So when you see this, that's smart money coming in right there. Right there. That's them pushing up, repricing, giving them a better area. It's triggering and filling positions for buy stops. It's bringing in break retest traders here, right? resistance, now support level. It's taking out stop losses, anybody that was selling this area. And then we have this price action here. And we can see this low here as well. Boom, 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 all taken, all taken. So this probably would have been like, let me get some more price action, because now we have a new swing here, and you got to recognize where they came in and the areas that they're going to respect, right? So that brings us to this price action here. I probably would have been aware of this spot here. What do you see here? I'll do it like this. What do you see here? What would this be here? Oops. Yeah, you got it there. We also got this break retest level. And think of the training from Tuesday. Think of the training from Tuesday. Right? Because here we got our last up candle before a push down. And then we have a retracement here that looks like it came into this candle here, right? And then started continuing. Break retest traders, even smart money traders that were looking at this area here, right? There's liquidity right there. And it's very similar to that pattern that I showed. Right? You got your little level there, and then price breaks up to it and then starts pushing down, kind of giving you that ABC. And then this comes up above it, takes out this area here, and then pushes down. That was the first thing that kind of came into my mind here, because then we have this, right? You can see that here, how price came and looked like it was enticing traders to sell, and then price pushed up, took the money here, right? This was just almost like another trap that was created here. And then it pushed down, right? That was like just pulling up the chart on the higher time frame. Those were the first two things my eyes were drawn to. First two things right there that my eye was a little just immediately drawn to. So this candle here, what do we know about this candle? What do we know about this candle here? Yeah, an FU, but manipulation. So we know what? What about that? And don't look at it like it's really taking money. Because like if you change your perspective of what's happening with these FU candles, they're not necessarily taking money. Like they are in a sense, but it's not really taking it. If you think of like, if you get stopped out on a sell, you're buying a position back, and it just is, it's at a worse price than you entered, right? You're still buying back, right? Just like a sell, excuse me, just like a buy, if you hit your stop loss, you're selling back your position. It's where smart money has came in, pushed price above this area of a liquidity pool to do what? To fill their orders. So you got to recognize that smart money's in there. That's where they came in. Smart money likes to respect their own positions, right? Why would they want to load up and manipulate a certain area to bring in a ton of money just to drive price above it? It just, you know what I mean? Right? So recognize spots like that. And then of course, when something like that happens, what's the next spot? Here. And that's where they can distribute their profits, because just like this, that they need to spike up to fill their orders, they need areas like this, like these, to offload, because for the same reasons that they need to come in and attack those stops on sellers so they can buy back their positions, because they're just filling all of their orders in a massive volume in one spot. They're doing the same thing with all the stop losses for the buyers here, who are selling back their position, where smart money can distribute their profits in the same areas. So instead of looking at it like they're taking money, look at it like that's where smart money's coming in. And then I got to change my perspective to where smart money's going to come out. Because the same thing for them to get in happens for the same thing for them to come out. That's why when somebody asked the other day, what's the significance of previous day highs and previous day lows, or previous week highs, previous day lows, or intraday highs or intraday lows, or you know what I mean? Like those are usually most likely, used for what we're talking about now, right? So this area here, this would have been an area that I would have paid attention to. If I saw something like this, right? So like this pullback here, I would have initially been looking up here, right? And then seeing something like this, which is basically just a different, kind of variation of the pattern that we talked about yesterday, right? I would have switched my bias after this, and seeing this here, I would have switched it to from this point to in here for that reason, right? And then what I would do is I would start dropping down. You can see here some equal highs were generated here as well. Another break retest level. You can see they pushed up and came in. Right, like that candle there would have definitely, like this whole area there, right? I'm just going to mark this here. What was that other time frame we're just looking at? 8 hours, like the first. I'm just going to mark that too, just so we have it, just so we know. All right, what was the entry? The entry was on what? July 15th. So his entry was in here. So let's go and bring us, now that we kind of have like the basis of what's happening up to this point, right? That's why it's so important. Like you can't just flick to a time frame and load up a 1 minute or 15 minute or 1 hour chart and try to, like, I use this analogy all the time. It's like opening this book and me just going to this page and reading this chapter and then trying to tell you what, or reading this paragraph in this one chapter, and it's trying to, and then it's me trying to tell you what this chapter is about or what this book's about. And there's no way I'll know unless I read the whole story, right? So we needed to get that background context before we could go into really understanding what took place with that pattern there, because that pattern from that time frame, right? Just looking at this, right? Most people, what do you think about this? Just looking at this pattern here. Just looking at this 1 hour pattern, what would you think there? That it was pretty straightforward, right? Pretty solid signature pattern, right? You had these lows here, swept, price came up and swept the top, right? And then it made a nice little target here. Just looking at that, I mean, that looks like a pretty decent pattern, but that pattern alone isn't enough. We have to back it up with the whole story here. Yeah, bullish at like a first glance for sure, right? You can see he had that top FU. Oh wait, that might be, oh, so that's the spot that we marked up right here. See that spot here? That's this, that 1 hour right here. All right, so that was his entry here. Let's go back up higher. So first glance, right? Like knowing that we just swept the top here and he was buying in here. What is he buying? What are you buying here? When you have this happen here, right? First off, what kind of pattern do we have here? What's our, what do we call this pattern here? Right? You took the high, you took the low. Now you got a lower low potentially in the making if price closed below here. Yeah, you'd be buying a pullback, mid-range pullback, dangerous spot, because ultimately, right, the sediments shift. It shifted. Anybody know the pattern, right? So we got, this is basically a signature pattern, a bear signature pattern. It swept the high, right? That was loading up, right? This area was loading up, right? And then they came down here, and then next spot, right? It's the only low left down here. Besides the one it's creating, obviously, but. So let's go to the 8 hour and just run it and see what took place. After that low, price starts pulling back. His entry was like in this area here. I think right in here. I think his 1 hour was right in here. This also could be a potential problem area too. This whole area here, potential problem area. Right, let's just flick. Yeah, so that's where he's buying here, right there. That's where he's buying right there. Let's go back. Right, so he initially got the bounce. And then it ended up doing this. So can anybody see anything here? And for anybody who you spotted earlier, right? You got that. And then we got this pattern here. What do we got here? You guys already announced it. Sweep on liquidity here. Run to the low. What is this? When we're talking about the two different types of price action we get, I'm pretty sure we can all agree that this is what? Impulsive, right? Because the grab on liquidity, run down to the low and this low, that's impulsive. This is corrective price action. This was a pullback. And we ran into this problem area here. That was a problem area, potential problem area. So you want to be careful when you're buying a pullback for a big expansion like this, especially with smart money trying to distribute profits again under this low here. This was the only low left right here. So it's really important to get the whole story here and recognize stuff like this, because this here, right, you're buying a pullback with potential areas like this one here, the 8 hour, like anywhere in this candle here, right? And then you have the 1 hour way at the top there. A lot of areas there that you can just jam up when prices, you're going against the grain here. You're in a corrective price action on a higher time frame pullback when smart money came here, and all they're looking to do now is distribute profits, right? And we showed how this was the only low left, and look where they came for. And swept that low. And that's why I wanted to go to the higher time frame, because just looking at that 1 hour time frame, that looked all right. Like this was a decent pattern here, right? Signature pattern. It's a pattern we talk about, right? It was an overlap candle too. A lot of volume came in there, but it didn't align with the whole story. This, what we just talked about, that was the narrative of smart money. And it's important to be able to read the whole story, the true narrative of what's taking place. And this was it here, starting up here. Accumulation of these intersecting orders, smart money came in, pushed down, distributing here, right? Price started pulling back, pushed down, spiked up more here, pushed down, tacked this low, and then ultimately this low here. Impulsive price. Like this here should have been, I need to pay attention to this. Anytime that you see always pay attention to the impulsive moves, right? Like this alone should have just been like, okay, I need to pay attention to this price action here. When you see a sweep on highs, and then after the sweep, a pretty significant push, just kind of backing up like, okay, this is manipulation here. This is an area where smart money came in and a lot of volume came in, pretty aggressive push and came for a low, right? Impulsive price action. And that's usually following a lot of volume coming in. And then you have corrective price action following that, which is usually just an indication of an accumulation of more orders before they continue down and continue attacking other lows and distribute their profits. So alone, that pattern was, a pretty decent pattern, but the bigger picture, the true narrative was coming down after sweeping these highs in the euphoria phase. Does everybody follow along with how we got that narrative and where that can be just yes. That's why these higher time frames are really, really important. Really important. And then where is current price action, right? And you can see, so, and then the funny thing is, look where it did end up coming back up and pushing up to. Came back up to that 8 hour. And now it's back on its journey to the downside. And again, it kind of just did the same thing. Look here. Relative equal highs. Price spiked up above these highs. Came up in here. Let's see what it looks like on the daily. All right. Smart money came in here. So you got a new daily FU candle here, and you can see here that they ran and took the bottom here. Very similar to what we just saw. So now you have a new expansion. Like when we talked about aligning yourself with expansions that are aligned with smart money in areas that they're going to protect their positions, this is it right here. That's it right here. Expansion that's grabbing a liquidity pool here right here. So I don't trade New Zealand JPY, but there you go. I'm not saying I could do that, but I understand it comes with experience and time. You got to recognize too that, what you're watching when I explain this stuff, it's a lot of hours on the chart for many years. All right. So that one was good to dig into a little bit deeper. But one of the biggest things I can really tell you is make sure that you can really find areas like this that, this sweep here, when you see those sweeps and you can see or potential patterns like we saw the other day, that should tell you that smart money's in the game. And they just, there was an accumulation of orders there. And now their job is attacking highs or lows or equal lows or whatever it might be, right? Because this was a big break retest level here, right? Areas where they can distribute their profits, right? So you can get the whole narrative, the whole story of what's taking place. And then you can build your thing off of there. But one thing that's going to really help you there in terms of direction is one, the higher time frame narrative like we just read on the daily. And then when they do come in and there's a lot of volume, you're going to see corrective and impulsive price action. Impulsive price action, right? Sweep high and boom. And then you're usually going to get that corrective choppy price action, right? And that's an indication of continuation, right? It's almost like, think of it, price action in that terms, like a bow and arrow, right? What's the catalyst for a bow moving forward? It has to pull back, right? It has to have some force pulling on it and then letting go. And like that pullback is almost the accumulation, and the let go is like the manipulation, and then it goes, right? That's what this is here. That's what this is here. So if you can really align yourself, if you just looked at the, that example there, you can see it here. Impulsive price action after a sweep. Corrective, here it is. Impulsive price action, corrective, and then continuation. Avoid trading in corrections like this. Especially, I should probably rephrase that. Avoid trading against the grain with these corrective price action patterns. This says you look for shorts. This looks for shorts. Let's go to the next one. Example of why higher time frame trend could be more reliable, more information to go off of great breakdown. This next one was 5 days later on the same pair. And now that we saw that, I'm just curious to see what his higher time frame markup of that was real quick. Just again, 1 sec. Yeah, he had that 2-hour marked off there too. He had the liquidity sweep there too. So he had that marked up. He was reading the story to an extent. I'm surprised he didn't take these and really acknowledge this spot here. He was more so looking at that as targets than where smart money came in. Like that was a big signature pattern there. Swept the highs and then it was just about coming for the bottom. But he had those little highs marked off there too. And then he had the FU. So he was trading into that FU. He told himself right there. He gave him on the higher time frame, he really had a lot of that information down. He was just missing some of the pieces. So let's see what he was looking at here. This was 5 days later, same pair. Let's look at the I don't want to spend too much time on it because we just dug into that. Okay, so now it looks like he's kind of shifted and looking for shorts. Sell limit 1 hour, July 20th, incorrect. Well, I think his bias might have been FU candle. Okay, so let's take a quick look. I don't want to spend too much time on the pair that we just went to. Okay, let's jump to the 20th, which was a Monday. So he was in here. Yeah, so without getting into too much here, okay. When you talk about price action, let's just do it like this. Let's see if I can get it like there. Well, I guess, so what do we see here? What do we see here from this high to this low? What do we see here? Anyone? We're not. So we have expansion, pullback, right? This was the price action that we just reviewed, right? Look, sweep on liquidity here, right? Sweep on liquidity here, right? So this swing high to this swing low here, right? That's the trading range. Retracement. What is this, right? We already established this was a pullback. What is this? Yeah, continuation, right? So is this a good area to sell? Let's see here. I can see why he's doing it. But let's just dig in a little bit here. Time and price. So we got Asian high. Price was kind of ranging here. Price was ranging here. Price pushed up. Came down. He was probably looking at this like an FU. I think he said what, 1 hour FU? He was trading off that 1 hour. Can't see it on that chart. Let's see what he looks like here. Yeah, so I see why he's looking at that, but tail end of an expansion. And I don't know. Anybody else see a potential issue here? Well, no, it's not equal lows really. I mean, maybe like this low was taken, these lows were taken. I mean, it is kind of like a break retest level, but those lows were taken. I'm not like seeing. He's got imbalance right above his entry here too. Like that's one thing too. I would be a little. I don't take entries with that above my entry. I would probably be looking higher up too. I'd be looking higher up on this expansion. Like you really want to try to, like, when you find these impulsive moves, to really, if you're gonna dig on lower time frames, you really want to align yourself with the kill zone, right? Like here's the swing high, the swing low, right? That's your swing high to swing low. So not really aligned there. And let's see what happened here. And these boxes, all I marked up there was just imbalance. That's all that was. So let's see what happened. That right there. So if he was going to take this trade, that can't happen first. That can't happen first. What does that tell you right there? Did you guys see that? So it looks like he was targeting this here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so he was targeting the 4 hour. I probably would have been targeting that right there, right? Because you do have a little bit of a break retest level, and you kind of have like that pattern that we were talking about. But right there, that's like the real closest thing to like internal liquidity that or target right there. But that right there is just not something you want to see before an entry. Like that was probably what he wanted to target right here. And then when you have that happen, look how fast that pushed away. Look how fast that pushed away. That just tells me that that's going to come up and take out. Remember, this is Asian high. Now Asian low is taken. New York came in and took London low. Now it's pushing up and taking London high. The only target left on an intraday bias really is this Asian high and these areas of imbalance. And let's see what happened. It's in his candle now. Looks like a slight reaction. Looks like some ranging. And you can see right there, it's pulling up into the imbalance. Just took Asian high here. Let's speed this up a bit. Filled that imbalance here. That's why it's just really dangerous to have imbalance above your entries. And then look what all three areas of imbalance rebalanced. Okay, let's go continue. So we're in the kill zone now of this new expansion here. Price is just kind of climbing. And I didn't look higher. There might have been more imbalance up here as well. You guys see that? It's like poetry in motion sometimes when you see that stuff. You guys see that? Let me clean this up real quick and just show you. Okay, so we marked the swing already, right? Here to here, right? So we have this spot here, right? Did anybody see what just happened? Did anybody see what just happened there? Well, keep in mind, like this is probably the most current swing here. Right? Did anybody see what just took place? Think about all of the stuff that we just talked about. Like think of like all like the trades that we've talked about recently, right? What's happening here? What's happening here? Traders coming in, right? Resistance level, right? So like, watch what happens. Watch what happens right there. Okay. High taken inside this candle. Let's see what happens. But you can see it's on this expansion here. But my concern now would be, right, we took all those lows over there. So I don't see any main targets down there yet. And I still like this area up here. I still like that area up here, right? I still like that candle here that took these highs there, right? And I see this here, right? An obvious swing point. These highs here. I see, and when I'm looking at trades, I'm looking at potential areas here that could jam this up, right? What would be nice is this area here. What would be nice is if this were to stay off of, if it stayed here on this break retest level and pushed up to this, that's taking all of these highs, coming into that 8-hour candle here. That's how I would have traded that. That's how I would have traded that right there. That's how I would have traded it right there. And then I would have been targeting this low here. What candle was I looking at in there? Was it a 4-hour? 4-hour. Is this current price action? Oh no, this isn't even current price action. We can run this out a little bit. Sorry, I'm just kind of talking to myself, running through this price action, but you guys see this here? You guys see this here? How that happened there? That is something that happens all the time on pullbacks here. And this catches a lot of people, right? They'll see the first push away. And then what are people doing here on this move here? When you see your first push away, what are most people doing here? Like, even if you're a smart money trader, and let's say you entered this candle here, right? Which has highs above it. what are you doing in most cases after you get this first push here? What's a natural impulse that a lot of traders have? Yeah, move stop loss to break even, right? Regardless if they don't, there's still highs above, there's still liquidity above these highs. Like, remember, like, I really like this spot here is not a spot that I would take a trade from, right? Because this doesn't tell me like this, that smart money came in and that this is going to be a spot that smart money respects, right? So when you're talking about finding the right expansions and finding the right candles on higher time frames to enter, this isn't one of those for me. This is not one of those. This is nothing. This was nothing. This was just a continuation off of this candle here, right? This is, for me, these are targets. I can see these getting taken before any decent move to the downside. And I can see this candle up here being respected. Like, even if you, this is why you get, when you take spots like this, right? And we can play this whole price action out. You can see price, how many times do you get into a trade and it'll move like 3-to-1 in your direction, and then it completely reverses on you. And I'm not talking about just stopping you out, but completely, like, we'll do something like this, come all the way up here, like a decent move away. Does that ever happen to you? A lot of that has to do with just not recognizing where smart money really came in, and almost trying to, like, a lot of people will look at a chart and they're trying to really like look for reasons to get in and take an actual trade versus like reading the whole story. And then like they'll see something way up here, they'll be like, man, that's just so far away. Like, that's gonna take too long, right? Like, where you could spot something like this, just put your pending on and then target down here. I mean, that's almost a 9-to-1 trade. Like, when you align yourselves with candles like this, right? Like, I can see this spot here being a problem, right? I just don't see any real targets here. I see potential. Like, do you see the difference between this candle here and that candle here? This one, there's nothing over here. Like, it's swept it already, right? This one here, right? Right above this, you got these highs here, right? You got overlapping candles. So it's, you know, that can be an issue in itself. And there's liquidity above these highs here. And then even if you do get that push down, which it would be perfect in a perfect world, if it kept this level and then pushed up here and did something like this, that would be the ideal situation here. But even if it pushed through this area, that's liquidity. Like, there's orders building on this break retest level. And then you got this thing here. That candle here swept that little break retest level we were just looking at where he took his trade, and price can easily bounce this. Let's just run this out a little bit more, see what happens here. All right, so there's the sweep on this high, right? That could be the catalyst to bring it all the way down. Don't get me wrong. That could, but I would just not, I personally, and it probably will. It'll probably take it down to this low. But I don't take candles like this for that reason. I don't take it for that reason there. I want to align myself with candles like this, where you know smart money's in there. They're going to respect that spot. All right, so let's just see what happens here. Yeah, so this just might go from here. Continuing, struggling. See how it's struggling there? Let's see what happens now. Now it's pulling back a little bit. Could be here. It might just continue from here. Jammed up in that area again and again. Just made equal lows there and spiked it. Still holding that trouble area. It's pushing up now. Now it's got equal highs. Now we know this is getting clapped 100%. There it is there. And took this high here. It's coming for this high next. It just took it right there. And I would be pretty certain that this thing's going to come up to this spot now. Or not. Might just run from that, taking that high. That's a flag, so that might pull up from there. It's coming up now. Yeah, I'd be pretty shocked if it doesn't play this candle here and push up into this. Here's your buy to sell right here. Here's your buy. I'm not saying to buy this or that I would. I'm just saying it's probably going to do that. It's probably going to do that. Or not. And it ran. Is that the 8 hour? Did we mark? Oh, so it hit the 8 hour. It hit the 8 hour. So we were just looking at the 4 hour in it. But 1 second. Give me a real quick. Give me a hug. Let me kiss.
Can I say hi?
Sure, you can say hi.
Hi.
They can't hear. Well, they can hear you, but they can't talk back. Okay, I'll see you after your nap.
Okay.
Okay, I love you. Say bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. I need to go, Daddy.
Okay, I'll see you later. Okay, so just coming back to that price action, we were looking at the 4 hour. We were looking at the 8 hour initially. So maybe if we kept it on the 8 hour, but regardless, and again, I wouldn't have bought that. I would have. We were just kind of winging it there. But can you see what just took place there? You see what area was respected? I was just looking at the 4 hour just because we were on the 4 hour, and that's where I had that marked up there. But that candle here, we initially were looking at the 8 hour. And again, what do we know about that 8 hour? That's where smart money came in. And what's smart money going to do when they have areas here like this that they came into the market, sweeping this high, right? They're going to respect those areas. So I was looking at the 4 hour there, but initially we had the 8 hour, and that 8 hour, I mean, that was a massive stop. That's not a trade that I would have taken, but right, we can see when that happened here, this high was also created, right? And it took all these highs, pushed up, took them, and then came down and ultimately came for this spot here. And that's why taking like those candles there, like I was mentioning on the 4 hour here, that you can just run into problems. Like you might just get that initial push, right? And you come into a problem area, it takes out these break retest level, and then just comes up for the real targets, respecting the real area here. That's where smart money came in. So it would have been nice if we had that pinpoint all the way. But I mean, I guess we did. We just were looking at the 4 hour, but the 8 hour, we know that's where smart money came in, right? And that's where they ultimately came up and respected and then pushed down. And you can see this low here was eventually taken. But man, New Zealand JPY, man, that's a really choppy pair, man. So like this whole time, that's just like the candle I would have been paying attention to here. That would have been the candle I would have been paying attention to the whole time right there. Because you know what? With that candle, you know what? We know smart money came in there and they're going to respect that spot. Let's go to current price action now. This might be current price action now. Yeah, so that's current price action now. Yeah, so I think we already saw that on the daily. Yeah, so we knew that, right? So we knew that was current price action. And as much as it respected this high, right? And what's something I always say about when you see big expansions, go look at the catalyst, right? So we knew, do you recall when I went through GU yesterday or on Tuesday? What's one thing that you can spot with the GU markdown that I did, the breakdown before every single run? It did two things. On the entire GU higher time frame bullish uptrend, every time price before it pushed up and started attacking highs, right, and making a new expansion, it did two things. What are those two things? Respected their entries, one, That's one. And it needed the catalyst, right? Almost every move up, right? Let's see if I don't know. I doubt I still have it on there. That's just the current markup. But look at almost every move up, right? Like if we take this example for that we went over, right? Break retest level. This is where smart money came in, right? So what did they do? They took the equal lows here or the break retest level, grabbing liquidity, accumulating more orders, because on these pullbacks, that's what they're doing. They're accumulating more orders, respecting where they previously came in. Same thing here, break retest level, it pushed up, it came deeper, taking out that level, but respecting where they previously came in. Same thing here, equal lows, probably another break retest level, right? They took out the lows because they're accumulating more orders on the pullback, right? Respecting where they previously came in, right? So same thing here, right? Equal lows, accumulating more orders, respecting where they just came in. Took out equal lows, took those, respected where they came in here, right? So when somebody was asking me the other day on GU after I took these equal lows and they said, aren't you concerned with these equal lows? Talking about these ones, which relative equal lows, right? And I said, not particularly. You know why? Because what do we know here? What do we know here? See what that looks like on the 4 hour, right? What do we know about this spot here? We can just hammer it down to the 4 hour, right? We can drag that all the way over, right? And it's the same thing that I just showed you on every single move. They took equal lows, respected where they came in, and then pushed up. So what do you have here? Let's just go to a daily. What do we have here? Equal lows, respected where they came in. Here. Equal lows. And where can they distribute their profits? Here and here. And break retest level here. It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. New Zealand JPY, right? It's the same thing. Accumulation of orders. They came in, they're going to respect that. Swing, right? Sweep here. We know that's the 8 hour candle here, right? They took out liquidity here before swinging down. They pulled back up, respected this area, right? This new spot here, right? Before the new expansion, they did two things, like the exact same things I just showed you in all of GU. Took equal highs because they're accumulating more orders, respecting this 8 hour candle for this previous sweep, but they're already in the market. And attacked this low here, right? So now you have a new swing, distributed profits, and this is where smart money came in here. It's the exact same thing. And you'll see this over and over again. If you can spot the start of an expansion like this, or like this, or like this, right? Then you know smart money's in, right? Especially like here, right? Took highs, boom, right? They're in. They're in here. And then before this new low, right? Respected this high and took out these equals. Here's your new valid swing point. You know this is valid because this is where smart money came in. They don't want to go higher than that. They don't want to go higher than that because they're only going to be screwing up their own money, and they don't do that, right? Does that make sense? We went a little long today. We didn't get into too many examples, and we kind of hammered down in New Zealand JPY, but sometimes when you go deeper into these pairs, you know, and I haven't dug into New Zealand JPY, and that might have been one of my first times. I don't trade that pair, but sometimes it's nice looking at new pairs, but it's the same thing. You'll see it across the board. Doesn't matter the pair. Doesn't matter the market, right? You'll see it everywhere. That's how you're going to align yourself with the bigger picture, following the true narrative at play, and following where they're going to get in and protect their positions, and targeting where they're targeting to distribute their profits. Does that make sense? This really helped me the way I look at charts from now on. Good stuff. That's all you got to do. Like, I mean, and look, somebody give me a pair really quickly. Well, just give me an indie pair. It doesn't matter. Indice, metal, US 30, EU, doesn't matter. US 30, USD CAD, GN. Paula said US 30. All right, we'll go with US 30. Even here, right? Break retest level. Right, you got relative equal highs. You got a high here, right? This would be a true swing point that's going to be respected here, right? Why? Because these lows here, break retest level, there's a lot of money that came in here. This is where they loaded up their positions, taking out this area here. And then they drove price up, taking out these highs here, and then created this, equal highs, all right? Then what happened for the next swing? Equal lows. This is where they came in, right here. Let me change this to that, right? That's where they accumulated positions. That's where smart money's in. Remember, they're accumulating positions on these pullbacks. So look, they came down here, took out these equal lows, and respected where smart money came in. Right there. Respected that area, took out these lows, and then pushed price up. And then they just did the same thing literally today. Literally right as we're talking. Equal lows. This is where smart money came in here. Price action today took out these equals, and look what they're currently respecting. And it's not just this. You'll see it on the entire move. It's literally how they have to play. Like this entire move, you're gonna see it on the entire move. Any pair, any move. Look, watch. Look at these lows here. Before the big move, look what happened. Before this big move, look, they took out these lows here, right? Pushed up. Equal lows here, right? Just for the sake of time, I won't go on a lower time frame, but you can see they spiked down here and took those lows, break retest level, pushed up, and you can see price came right into this. I mean, if you go on a 4 hour, it'll just backtrack it because we're on a higher time frame here. But you can see swipe, came back, respected where they came in, and then pushed price up. And then they did the same thing here. Another break retest level, relative equal lows before the big move, right? What did they do? They pushed down, respecting this area, which also had a little swipe there before pushing up. Swipe before there, before pushing up. More orders in here. Lows. And smart money in the game here. Price pushed down, took out these lows, but respected where they came in. And you'll see this over and over and over again, almost every move, Same thing here, break retest level, right? What do? They swipe below, just like they even did here, Swipe down, taking out these lows. 1, 2, boom, before going higher, right? There's a wick in here. There's lower time frame candles in there, but they did the same thing. They came down and attacked this level, coming lower, and it's respecting this spot, right? Before pushing higher and attacking this little double top area. That little double top area, another break retest level, boom, right? Price pushed up, looks like it started going up, and then it just dropped down, taking these levels, but respecting where smart money came in. And this just happens over and over and over again. That's how you're going to find the spots that you're not going to have issues with. If you can find where smart money came in and stop picking random bankers candles just because it's the last bankers candle or the last up and down candle before a move, you're going to have a much easier time trading. And I hope that makes sense. Just go back test this on your own time. Go look at it. Go pull up a chart and go look at these. Go look at this stuff. One, it's going to give you the narrative of the story taking place. And two, it's going to show you the areas. Like, you guys ever hear me when I say, when you look at a daily candle and you can see the previous day low and the previous day high, and if you can see on one trending market, you typically see that previous day low respected, but you'll see like the previous day highs all being taken. That's why. That's why. Just you, I think. I don't think anybody else lost volume. But we're probably going to wrap it up anyway. We went long today. But I'm telling you, if you just stop taking random candles and just stop focusing on structure and the last up or down candle, which a lot of people want to talk about, and focus on what I just showed there, that's how you're going to be aligned with the true narrative. And really getting involved in areas where they're gonna respect. Like, again, like you know how long that uptrend's been going on US 30, or like that big uptrend on GU? That's like for the last year plus. And they didn't disrespect their positions once. So these last two sessions, I'm telling you, spend some time with them. Watch them once all the way through, like you might have just did. And then when you can watch the recording, go back and pause it and write down notes and timestamp different things. And then go and hit the charts and go look for the same stuff. And then it's just going to make you, like, the first step is just learning it. Learning what we just talked about, absorbing that information. The next thing is just testing it, and you're not going to be able to see. It's going to be harder in real time, but now you're going to be more conscious aware of these things that are happening. And now when you go look to see a candle for entry, you're going to be paying attention to where smart money comes in and where they're looking to distribute their profits and come out, because they're going to respect their orders. But now you're just going to be, and that's why that pattern that I talked about on Tuesday, like, that's why I like looking for that stuff. Because these big impulsive moves, it's the catalyst behind them is sweeping these liquidity pools so they can fill up and then send price to distribute the profits and where, previous highs or previous lows or whatever, right? So like those moves need a catalyst, right? And that's like those moves that look like on a break retest level, and then it pushes up and then comes down, and a lot of people might think it's going, and then it shoots up and takes those highs, respecting the previous candle where they came in before sending price. But again, it's just going to take some time to train your eye. Like the first thing, right? Absorbing the information and then testing it, and then just training your eye. And then when you go to mark up your charts, you're going to be more aware of what you're looking for in the candles and swings that you're using for entries. Like, throw away the concept of just trying to find any candle for that last up or down move, because that's just going to get you in trouble, and then you're just going to be spinning your wheels. Find where they're coming in. And you can do that it's easier than you think. So we're a little over, actually, yeah, we're a little over 90 minutes now. So I do want to be respectful of everybody's time. I keep trying to keep these sessions at 90 minutes, or excuse me, 60 minutes, but it never really works out that way. But well, yeah, I mean, they're distributing their profits, right? They're in the business of making money just like we are. But it's just, you don't even have to look at it like that. Look at it like, you know how I always say, if you see a pattern and you don't see clear entries, it's a no trade. Because the same thing that when they sweep on equal highs or equal lows or a previous high or previous low, like they're sweeping liquidity pools to come in. Like think of that. They need that liquidity pool to come in. So it's not like they're just clicking close, because if they're clicking close, they can't close it. They need to close in certain areas where there's enough intersections of orders for them to fill the other side of their orders. Like if they're selling and they come down to a lot of people that are buying, and they're targeting a swing low like that New Zealand JPY area I just showed, right? All those people that get stopped out are selling back their positions. And who do you think's on the other side of that? That's where they're attacking, so they can attack stops and trigger orders so that they can fill their huge order. It's not like you and I as a retail trader, we don't have liquidity problems. You can go and buy and sell almost anywhere. You probably don't even like deal with slippage. Rarely. Like you can buy or sell anywhere and your order is filled instantly. It doesn't work that way. Liquidity is not an issue for you or for me. But for them, it is. They can't just come in anywhere or anytime that they want. It doesn't work like that. So just always have that perspective when you're looking at aligning your orders for where they're in and where they're targeting, where they need to go to distribute their profits. And then that will change the game for you. When you get that down, you can spot that. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got value from this. I hope you watched this and Tuesdays more than once, right? Absorb this information and then practice it. I can make it look easy because I do it. I've been doing it for a long time, and you'll get there. So don't try to compare yourself like some people are doing in the chat today to people that have been doing this for a really, really long time, right? So you'll get it. You'll get it. It's just reading the story, right? It's like you trying to pick up a book and trying to read it and it's in Spanish, right? You're not going to be able to at first, but the more you learn and the more you stick at it and the more consistent you're with it, staying with it, right? You'll be able to soon understand the story, the true narrative of that's being told to you. And then once you can see it, it's just like you're kind of decoding what's really taking place. Yeah, and enjoy the journey for sure, Steve. Yeah, that's the biggest part. Enjoy the journey. So anybody have any questions before we wrap this call up? Now's the time. I don't see any in the Q&A section. But if you have any questions about anything that we just went over, anything that you just don't get or, you're not understanding, take advantage. You can ask here, ask in the group chat. We all good? If your toolbar where the URL is, there's a magnifying glass in the top right. It looks like it is zoomed out. Click on it and select reset. You talking about mine? Yeah, no, I do that on purpose. I do that on purpose when I'm trading. I'll fix it next time for the sessions so you can all see it better because it probably came out really small for you. But I do that on purpose. Yes, Manuel. And that's in the form of manipulation. Sweeping highs, sweeping lows. sweeping equal highs or equal lows, and then you can usually tell that it's usually followed by, think of when a lot of volume comes in, right? It's usually all the examples I showed today, you'll see a pretty significant move afterwards. Cool. So any other questions? All right, then. I think we are good. I think we are all good then. So go back. I'll get this recording up as soon as possible at some point today within the next few hours. And just watch these more than once. And then the most important thing is just absorb the information and then apply. Just go apply and then, go in previous data and just do what I did on US 30. And then it's just going to train your eye. And then you'll be more aware when you're marking up a chart to recognize certain spots and recognizing that, if you can see these spots, these are the spots you want to align yourself with versus any other candle, right? And make sure, like the New Zealand JPY, like that first spot that we showed that is a candle I wouldn't take, right? There were more highs up there that could just be a problem area. There was no real significance about that area because I also know smart money didn't come in there. They came up higher, and what did they end up doing? They end up taking those highs, pushing up to that 8-hour candle, and then sending it for those lows. So it'll be easier when you're more aware of that stuff and you're actively looking for that. So on that note, I hope you guys got some value from this. I hope it looks like we had some aha moments come from this. Yes, Q&A tomorrow. I'll make that announcement in the group today for the Q&A for the EFXU, probably same time as last week. Cool. So hope you guys all have a great day. EFXU members, I'll see you tomorrow on that Q&A. Other than that, next session is Tuesday at 12 p.m. And then I'll see you guys in the Discord as well tonight and tomorrow. So hope you guys have a great day and stay blessed.